This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks take on the Atlanta Hawks tonight, not the Toronto Raptors. I don't know what made me put down the Toronto Raptors, but they play the Hawks tonight. Either way, it's not really that much of an easier game, especially if Trae Young is playing. He is questionable on the night, but we're going to get into all of that. I do want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, you can join us in D.C. on February the 24th as the Knicks take on the Wizards. The Knicks will be trying to get revenge for the loss they just took to the Wizards. All right, there's a link in the description of the video. Please make sure you check that out. Andy, what's popping with you, man? How you feeling?
Yo, what up, Sim? Happy to be on with you. Listen, as long as we don't play Precious Achua the next 3 games like you had, before and before, I think we're going to be good.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Mitch is out tonight.
Not only tonight,
Robinson is out
for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Accordingly,
So, obviously, the question is, where do the Knicks? Well, we'll finish it. Mitch is out tonight. Trae Young is questionable, but they're at Madison Square Garden. I'm assuming Trae Young is going to play. And then Bogdanovich is questionable. Right? Where do the Knicks go, though? Mitchell Robinson is out. Who starts?
Sim, if I was the coach, I would go with iHeart. But we seen Tibbs doing the maneuver that he's gonna bring the third center as the first one, so the secondary center can play with the bench guys, which he is more used to play with. What's gonna be the deal today? We're gonna see by the tip off. So
yeah, see, I would go with Sims, right? For 2 reasons. I think Sims is a better defender, and then I think because Sims plays more like Mitch, you kind of stay with what you already been doing. You know what I'm saying? And then iHeart can come off the bench and do what he normally does. I think, obviously, iHeart will get more minutes than he has been getting. But I think that would keep things a little bit more consistent. Now you don't have to bring, iHeart into the starting lineup and bring Sims into the bench, and both units have to change. I think you can stay a little bit more consistent that way. We'll see what Tom Thibodeau decides to do. I think last game Sims got a lot of minutes. iHeart got some extra minutes as well. Neither one of them are Mitchell Robinson, but I think that might be the best way to impact the game. Either way, the Knicks are missing a lot with Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. They're missing the blocking. Shot blocking, they're missing his offensive rebounding, his length out there on the floor, because neither one of those guys have the type of length that Mitchell Robinson has. So that's going to impact the Knicks.
Yeah, to sum it up, Sim, I would say, at the end of the day, I might see a situation where they both play around 24 minutes, like split it straight up in half.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, definitely none of these guys are the defensive threat or the player, the defensive anchor that's gonna change the offense of the opposite team, right? Sims can jump, he's athletic. iHeart a little bit less, but he can play some defense, but neither of these guys are even close to what Mitchell Robinson brings, defending that territory under the rim.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what they do bring, though. Let's say that Tom Thibodeau does decide to start Hartenstein, right? And this would be for an extended period of time. What would he bring to that lineup that, It's not going to be the same as Mitch. It just isn't. But what will he bring? What can he add to that lineup, do you think?
Wilson, as far as I see it, he could bring more playmaking, right? The question is Tibbs going to go that way? Because we know that if we have Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ, I don't think he's going to defer their offensive game and try to run the offense through iHeart, right? Then again, Sims, like you said, he brings basically the same things that Mitch does, except I think the defensive awareness probably towards the offense of the opposite team. So I don't think he's going to be that kind of a threat or that kind of a player that alters the shot or the drives to the hoop by the Hawks tonight.
Yeah. I think with Hartenstein, if Hartenstein does start, I think he adds a little bit more to the offense because he can hit the little mid-range floater. He can post up from time to time. He hasn't been successful at making it from three, but he's proven that he could be a threat, right? So I think that does add something to that lineup. But his defense, though, is just not. I don't know. I haven't been impressed with his defense. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's bothered me some. Although he does hustle, I just haven't been totally impressed with his defense.
listen, I see. I think it's the same situation like with Fournier. He just doesn't have that level of athleticism that we see from Mitch or with Sims.
Right.
And listen, and that's a factor in the NBA. These guys are top level world class athletes. If you're not that, you ain't gonna be looking, right around these kind of players. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think if Sims is in the lineup, like you said, he brings a lot of the same things as Mitch. I think he's a better screener though than Mitchell Robinson.
oh,
You know what I mean? Both of those guys, I think, are better screeners. So when you're talking about getting the on-ball screen for Jalen Brunson or R.J. Barrett or even Julius Randle, I think those screens could be more effective. You know what I'm saying? Which could lead to better ball penetration. Better. If you're getting better ball penetration, or if I mean the Knicks, I guess they get good ball penetration from Jalen Brunson. If you're not but maybe you get some better ball penetration. Maybe the screen and roll is a little bit more effective when you're talking about Jericho Sims, right? Because you actually, make contact on the screen or whatever it is. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes, but it's going to be interesting. The Knicks had been fairly safe from or fortunate not to have a ton of injuries, but then over the past couple of weeks, right? Obi Toppin, the past month and a half, Obi Toppin, R.J. Barrett, Jalen Brunson was out for a couple of games. Now Mitchell Robinson has gone down for at least 3 weeks. So now, the injury bug has hit the Knicks, although they are coming into the night for the most part healthy besides Mitchell Robinson being out. You know what I mean? But, before we move on to the lineups, is this what we should expect from Mitch for his career?
well, Sim, I was gonna try to do this. Ask you a question: is this injury just an unlucky situation, or it's you know because I think he sustained the injury because he got slapped on the wrist, and I don't think that you can account that because he's injury prone that's why he got injured. I think this kind of an injury is just straight up unlucky,
Mm-hmm.
unlucky type of situation. So I wouldn't put this totally on Mitch. Now, other thing is when he jumps and he falls awkwardly and stuff like that. That's on Mitch.
Right.
But getting slapped on the wrist, you can get slapped on any side of the court and get a broken finger. We saw the same thing with RJ. He got slapped on the hand and he even got hit on the ball, and then his hand hit his other hand, and that's
Right.
why he got the laceration.
Right.
So I think those are kind of unlucky plays. compared to you just run up the court and you trip by
And
your
you
own
trip
feet
or
and you
yeah,
get and you
yeah.
get injured. So
But how does it seem? Why does it seem like guys, some guys that have a history of suffering injuries, like even little things like that, tend to happen to them. You know what I mean? It's just like even though it's not their fault, and like you said, kind of a freak accident and whatever, but it seems to happen to guys who were injury prone. It just seems to happen to them. But what can you do? The Knicks have paid them now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I will say this: I don't think the Knicks are looking to move on from him. But if they ever were, Mitchell Robinson's contract, it's not bad, and he would probably be worth it on the market. But you know what I mean? I don't think the Knicks are looking. You can see the impact of Mitchell Robinson on the game. You know what I'm saying? When he's not there, uh, the Knicks are not as good of a defensive team. And that concerns me over these next few weeks, right? Because the Knicks depend on Mitchell Robinson to be there to change shots, grab offensive rebounds, grab some defensive rebounds. They use his length in the pick and roll defense. I'm concerned about that. How concerned are you about that?
yeah. Well, I'm concerned too because, like you said, not only on the defensive end but also on the offensive end,
Hmm.
his offensive rebounds. We saw coaches and NBA players say that he might be the best in the league on in
Right,
that thing.
right,
So that's a we could say probably that's a huge blow. I'm expecting though the numbers from iHeart and Sims, thanks to being able to play more, minutes, they're gonna go up. So the question is, are these two guys going to fulfill what Mitch was bringing to the Knicks?
right,
I say probably not, but I think they're going to definitely look way better getting more minutes. So, the Knicks fan base and the coaching staff, can see how to use them a little bit better because, every player has a little bit different skill set, and good coaches would adjust to that.
right,
Question is if Tibbs is going to try to do that, or this, at least 3 week time period for him is going to be too short to alter, the offense or the defense of the whole team.
right, right. So looking at the projected starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen, for the Knicks, we have Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Sims or iHeart. And for the Atlanta Hawks, I know Trae Young is questionable, but I think he's going to play. But it's not at the Garden. It's at State Farm Arena. Right? Earlier I said, the game was at the Garden. He's not going to miss a chance to be at MSG. It's not at the Garden. It's at State Farm. Uh, you know, maybe it changes things. I think he's going to play versus the Knicks. Then you got Dejounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Okongwu's now starting, or at least has been starting, over Clint Capella. This is a tough matchup for the Knicks when these guys are healthy. You know what I mean? I know this series is tied 1-1 right now, but I still believe this is a tough matchup. Really tough matchup with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray out there. Now you got John Collins. I don't know if the Knicks have played against John Collins yet this season, have they? Against the Hawks. I'll go back and look while we're talking about some of these matchups. Before we get into all of that, though, DeJounte Murray was on a podcast with who was he on this podcast with? Steven Jackson. He was talking some stuff about San Antonio. Right? And he was saying that, things were just kind of funny when he got there. You know what I mean? Like he got there and, Pop didn't even talk to him. Manu Ginobili didn't even talk to him. None of these guys talked to him. You know what I'm saying? He was getting no playing time sitting behind all these guys. He was getting no playing time. Doing the G League thing. You know what I mean? He was in the gym, putting in work. But he said he felt like San Antonio played a lot of mind games. Pop played a lot of mind games with him. You know what I'm saying? And then he had to, he would get on the court. They throw him in the fire. He'd get on the court. And then he'd come in one day and they'd be like, you're not playing today. And tell him he got to find a sport coat from somebody. Go use Pau Gasol's sport coat to sit on the bench. You know what I'm saying? He said he was frustrated. He'd go home. He was punching holes in walls and doing things like that because he was just really frustrated. He felt like they were playing games with him, and they were, guys. He said they brought in Tony Parker as one of his friends. You know what I'm saying? Brought him in from overseas, or Manu Ginobili, somebody. You know what I mean? And was playing ahead of him. Had second-round picks playing ahead of him. He was just frustrated. Finally, he got in the lineup. Kind of took hold of it. And he said one day when he finally was going to be the starter, Pop called him and Tony Parker into the office. He said, hey, I'm going to start Dejounte. He said Tony Parker was upset. He said Tony Parker was upset. But he wasn't happy about his time there. He didn't feel like they were supporting him. And then he said with Pop, it was kind of like he felt like because he wasn't what do you want to call it? Because he wasn't a yes man, that's what he said. Pop was kind of like not messing with him that much. You know what I mean? And when they drafted Derek White, and when Derek White came in, he felt like they were putting it to it, not negatively putting them against each other, but he was competing with Derek White for his position. Although he had already kind of cemented it, he felt like he had to come in and compete against Derek White, which now it explains the reasons why he left or wanted to leave. You know what I mean? Because it was surprising to me when they mentioned that he was, you know what I'm saying, that he was available. I was like, wow. I thought he was part of the future of that team. But there it is.
Yes,
Have you heard that stuff? And what do you think about it?
yeah, I didn't hear all of it, but I definitely think that mind games, that could be Pop's thing, right? Because he's a world-renowned coach with probably most experience, longest tenure coach in the NBA currently, if I'm correct. But Sim, it just shows you how little things that we know of that happen on off the court or
Right.
in the gyms and in the practice facilities and stuff like that. Like you said, nobody was expecting him to being dealt. There were no rumors that he's going to be available.
Right.
So imagine where there are rumors, for example, of Cam being traded and he's not getting playing time and stuff like that. That might be so clear cut that everybody knows that he's available.
Right.
Like everybody, even the fan bases of our team or of other teams and stuff like that. So listen, and the Spurs are a really good organization, right? So question is their culture really that big and that hard-minded that you really gotta be a yes man, do everything what the coaches asks you, and you can't be that go ahead dude that you wanna break the ice on your own and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Might be the situation with the coaching staff, or not even Paul Pops. It also, like you said, it was Tony Parker and the Manu Ginobili, the rest of the guys. So
yeah,
I think you got being in NBA definitely is a privilege, because I don't see any other thing, getting paid so much money to play the sports you love, that I would say it's probably like only a couple of guys in the league that are only there for the money, and the rest are even happy, that they get the money and they get to play basketball, right, for a living. So
Right.
I think maybe some coaches are so old school that they think that these guys owe them a little bit more than just working hard and stuff like that. That's why these mind games came into place and stuff like that. So
he said he felt like when he first came in, they kind of looked at him like, because of where he was from, looked at him like he was gonna he was gonna, bring an entourage of 30 people and be smoking and drinking and things like that. He felt like they kind of had that expectation when they first brought him in. So it's definitely eye opening. You know what I mean? It's definitely
Yeah.
eye opening. Steven Jackson also, said some things that he felt like, they played some mind games with him. Obviously, he won championships with San Antonio, one or two or whatever. But he kind of felt the same way. He said, he said, I don't know if he was joking or not, right? But he said one day after whatever game, he was leaving, and Kawhi Leonard said, yo, Steven, hold up, I'm coming with you. He said after that it was over for Kawhi. That was it. He said they seen he was rocking with Steven Jackson. It was like, oh no, we're not messing with this guy no more. So yeah, it's a wonder. Anyway, Dejounte Murray is now with the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen, and he's playing against the Knicks tonight. When you look at the projected starting lineups, and I just seen in the chat, someone say Trae Young is upgraded to probable. Figured that. I figured he was going to play tonight. How do you see the matchups? Because when I look at the lineups, Brunson, Young, I'm assuming it's going to be Brunson on Young. I don't know who else he's going to guard there, unless you put him on DeAndre Hunter. I don't know. I don't know about that. But Brunson and Young, Grimes and Murray, Barrett, DeAndre Hunter, Randall and Collins, and then Sims or Hartenstein on Okongwu. How do you see those lineups?
Wilson,
Who do you see defending who?
Yeah. Listen, for me, I think looking at the size, I think I would go with Brunson versus Young. I know that Trae Young is, probably, their best playmaker and guy is going to handle the ball the most.
Mm-hmm.
But what we got to realize that his offense is shooting from three and playing the pick and roll, right? So that's going to be also a task for one of our big men. So, that's why I would go with Brunson on him because I don't think he can cover Dejounte Murray. Not gonna lie, that Dejounte has length. So if he matches up versus Brunson's gonna be maybe not in trouble, but he's definitely gonna have a harder day at the office than if he would be guarded by Trae Young.
See, that's how I see it happening, though. I see
Mismatching,
Jalen
right?
Brunson probably guarding Young, Grimes guarding Dejounte Murray. Right, I'm sorry. Yeah.
They switch up on the other side of the court.
But Dejounte
Right?
Murray guarding Brunson and Young guarding Grimes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, listen, this might be the case, but you know what I know for experience about playing that kind of a mismatch on the one end and looking for your guy on the other end, that it's definitely more tiring because when you play and defend the same guy that's defending you, you are literally running the whole game side by side.
Right.
When the guy is on the other side of the court, you got to realize that you got to look for him and you got to do that a couple of steps. You got to be a couple of steps ahead of him just to catch up with him. So this game might look a little bit different than what we saw in previous games, and it might cause a little bit more misfortune and a little bit more open shots unless we communicate really, really well.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting. These guard matchups here. Dejounte Murray is a tough cover. All around player. He's averaging 20 points per game. You already know what Trae Young does. That's a dynamic backcourt for the Atlanta Hawks. Although, it hasn't produced what people figured it was going to produce. At least not yet. Right now, the Atlanta Hawks are 23 and 22. They've been fluctuating between 500, a little above, a little below 500, et cetera, et cetera. What's your take on it? And there were even some rumors that there was some issues going on.
Well, I think Sim, the most of this, case that the Hawks have, I think there was rift between Trey Young and the coach Nate McMillan,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that might be a bigger of a problem than just between the players themselves. I think Dejounte works well with Trey Young. I'm not saying that Nate McMillan's offense is bad, but I we saw situations where Nate McMillan was trying to just forfeit his job. There was rumors that he's almost ready to give up the job and just move on. If a coach or rumors of that kind of a move start to float around the news, it must be something really really bad
Right.
between at least the star player and the coach.
Right.
And in the current NBA, I think the star player dictates the rules. So you probably would be the coach going off the
Yeah.
team. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's something. I mean, right now, the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen, they've won 4 in a row. Okay, so they're back above 500. They're now 23 and 22. They are in the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, 1.5 games behind the Knicks. So this is a big one. This is another big one for the Knicks. The next 2 games are big ones, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Right? You play the Hawks. If you lose to the Hawks tonight, then you're just a half game above them, but then they lead the season series. All
yeah.
right. And then you play Toronto on Sunday, who, if you lose to the Raptors on Sunday, you lose the season series.
Yeah, this is the situation same what I was always talking about, playing versus Eastern Conference teams. These W's or else mean like two. They count as two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So, these are 2 important games coming up. It starts tonight. The Knicks need to get this win in Atlanta to stop uh, a losing streak. They've lost 2 in a row. You don't want to go on a losing streak after you've been on winning streaks. You know what I mean? They need to get this win. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. This may be the first time that the Knicks have faced off with DeAndre Hunter this season.
with John Collins, I think DeAndre
With
Hunter,
John
I think
Collins,
played.
DeAndre
Yeah,
Hunter
I
has
think
played.
yeah he played.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. John Collins. Let me see. In the first game, the Knicks lost to the Hawks, 112-99. DeAndre Hunter did play that game. He had 21 points. Actually, John Collins played the first game. He had 12 points and 13 rebounds. DeAndre Hunter had 21 points. Clint Capella was the starting center at that time. He had 8 points and 10 rebounds. Dejounte Murray had 36 points. And Trey Young had 17 points and 7 assists. That was the first game that they played this season at the Garden. The Knicks lost by 13. The next game, the Knicks won 113-89. Trey Young played. Dejounte Murray played. But, of course, DeAndre Hunter and John Collins did not play. Right? They were replaced by A.J. Griffin and Jalen Johnson. So, this is a tough one for the Knicks. You know what I mean? The matchups just aren't good. And now you're down Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? What's your take on R.J. Barrett and DeAndre Hunter?
Well, Sim, I'm afraid about that matchup because we know that DeAndre Hunter is a stellar defender. So RJ's, offense is going to be probably deteriorated by DeAndre's defense. Then again, Hunter isn't a perfect offensive player, but we saw that he can make shots and he makes critical shots. He makes threes that are totally out of rhythm or break streaks and stuff like that. So he's one of those guys that you're like, oh, okay, let's he can take that one shot and he's gonna make that shot. That timing of his makes is so bad that it might be a momentum swinger. So he's one of those players that you don't want to get see getting hot.
Right,
That's sure.
right. And RJ, RJ Barrett, the last game they played, he had 15.7 rebounds. The first game that the Knicks and the Hawks played, RJ had 19 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. In his return, RJ's been okay. I think Julius Randle, since RJ's return, hasn't shot the ball as well, right? Do you look at that and say it's because they don't fit well together? Do you do you
I
think
wouldn't
that?
I wouldn't patch that up for RJ that Julius is shooting is just off. I think Julius's shooting was really good like throughout the season, so he's gonna have a couple of strides that he's gonna shoot less efficiently. But I don't think you can blame it on RJ because when we give the ball to Julius, it's the first thing the decision is up to him, take the shot, and second thing is he doesn't play a two-man game with RJ that much. So I don't think RJ is that guy that's like, putting Julius out of rhythm and stuff like that. So I can't, blame, RJ for Julius's, less efficient games.
Yeah.
You know.
The only thing I look at, yeah, it's not for me. It's not because RJ is there. I think Julius Randle is a guy that needs those touches to get more rhythm. So when he has less touches, I think he has a little bit. He doesn't have that feel of the ball, that comfort of the ball. You know what I mean? And with RJ there, naturally you're gonna get less touches because he's there, and he's
Yeah.
gonna get his touches. I think that could be. I don't think they have an issue playing with each other or a problem playing with each other because, like you said, they play on opposite sides of the floor. Besides, a handoff here and there, or RJ might get a screen from Randall, but then Randall goes and posts up, and RJ gets him the ball there, and then RJ gets out the way. You know what I'm saying? I really think it's the touches thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know,
That might be.
and I'm not saying he's mad about it or anything like that. I'm just speaking about the shooting efficiency and why you could see that shooting efficiency dropped a little bit. You know what I mean? But we'll see. I think he'll pick it back up. He's got a tough covering John Collins today, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't let John Collins get free outside the 3-point line because he can shoot it. You know what I mean? You don't want John Collins to get hot. You can't have John Collins, Trae Young, and Dejounte Murray all killing you on the offensive side at the same time. That's going to be
Yeah.
tough to deal with. Tough to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So Julius Randle's got to be on his closeouts. He's been playing good defense lately. He's been rebounding the ball. They're going to need him on the glass even more with Mitchell Robinson out. Sims can rebound, but, he's not going to rebound really. He doesn't rebound as much. I don't know. We'll see. If Sims is out there as the starter or iHeart, we'll see what they can do on the boards and on the offensive side, you know what I mean, with Mitchell Robinson out because they're going to get some extended time there. All right. Either one of those guys, they're going to be going up against Okongwu. What do you take of Okongwu now starting over Clint Capella?
I think they're really similar players. I'm not gonna lie, most of their offense comes off, the pick and roll play with Trey Young. Capella might be a little bit better of a defensive player, though Okongwu is a little bit, longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a tweak that Nate McMillan feels that it's okay, or maybe that's Trey Young realizes that he rather play with the Congo now, and maybe someone's on the move. There's plenty of things that I could see. Also, the thing with John Collins. Listen, last season he was the second option on the Hawks.
Right.
This year he's clearly as high as third, maybe even fourth option. So his role is diminishing. The rumors are also that they're trying to trade him from the previous season. Maybe that's affecting him too. But playing all versus the Knicks is always an eye opener for scouts, for league wide fans and stuff like that. So I think he's going to be top notch. Trying to outplay Julius Randle. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, with Okongu, I think he's way younger player, maybe probable that he's less experienced player compared to Capella, but he also can be a threat, vertically versus in the pick and roll game, right? He can jump high and get those put back dunks
Right.
and alley oops. So
Right.
I think he's more of a threat there than Capella.
Right. And maybe, maybe it's a defensive thing too. Maybe they're trying to get a little more defensive in that in their
Yeah.
lineup. You know what I mean? We'll see. So far this season, the Knicks and the Hawks, they faced off twice. The record is the season series right now is 1-1. The Knicks are averaging 106 points per game. The Hawks 100.5 points per game. That's because that one game they had like 89 points. 53 and a half rebounds for the Knicks, 45 for the Hawks. 24 and a half assists for the Knicks, 22 for the Hawks. 5 blocks for the Knicks, 5 for the Hawks, 4.5 steals for the Knicks, 7.5 for the Hawks. The Hawks don't turn the ball over, or at least not against the Knicks. 10
Yeah.
turnovers per game against the Knicks. The Knicks, 15 turnovers. I really don't want the Knicks to turn the ball over, right? Because they got guys that can score in transition. The Knicks not shooting the ball incredibly well, 42.8%, 37.5% from the three-point line. The Hawks, 39.6% and 25.7% from the three-point line. I don't know. What do the Knicks got to do, Andy, to win this game?
Wilson, definitely, these stats comparing, these both teams, the rebounding numbers, the block numbers are probably going to go down because we don't have Mitch. So just trying to get above the Hawks in those categories and rebounds, just, that's one of the main categories you need to get, to grab a W. And like you said, the turnovers number, we gotta have less turnovers, because if the Hawks don't turn over the ball, they're gonna have extra possessions. And even though they are shooting, way worse, because there's a couple of percent difference between the Knicks and the Hawks in these matchups, if they have, like 6-7 possessions more than the Knicks, even shooting 40%, that's going to be like, a couple of buckets. And,
Right.
I don't think the Knicks can outplay the Hawks. And adding those couple of buckets might be the difference to who gets a W tonight. So
Yeah, no doubt. The Knicks, they got to clamp down defensively, guard that 3-point line, be aggressive against Trae Young, make him shoot inefficiently from the field, guard that screen and roll. There's a lot, and you're missing Mitch. Like you said, you're missing Mitch to guard that screen and roll. It's going to be a difficult one for the Knicks. It's going to be a
and
tough one.
I would love to point out that Dejounte Murray and DeAndre Hunter, those guys can strip you from the ball from the dribble. They
Right.
also can cut the passing lane, and those are the worst turnovers, because nowadays you can't do the stop foul or whatever, because it's going to be a flagrant foul and it's going to be the ball from the side. So those are crucial turnovers that you don't want to commit versus a
Right.
team like the Hawks.
Right.
Those lead to easy buckets and high percentage buckets. So you
Right.
don't want to do that versus these Hawks.
Yeah. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen, if the Knicks can get a win versus the Hawks tonight. Paris Duggar, thank you for the super chat. Let me get it over here. You said Tibbs is on trial now. It's time he gets his talents to be at their best selves. He is destroying Randall Brunson. He's not developing or using his pro-skilled players properly. Come on, Tibbs, now. Thank you for the super chat, Paris. Any thoughts on that, Andy?
Listen, I think Tibbs was on trail when the second day that he signed that contract.
You know what I'm saying?
Knicks fans were the committee, the committee that invited, that welcomed him the first day, and the second day they were already looking at the tapes and trying to look for negatives. So
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like in the first season that Tibbs was here, he squeezed the juice out of that lineup, out of that team. He got all he could out of that team. Is he getting all he can out of this team? I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see, the way things go. You know what I mean? Sometimes teams got to grow, and, we'll see. I think he can use iHeart better, right? Than he's used them. Would you like to see more ball movement? Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'll during the end of the season, I'll figure that out if he squeezed the best that he could out of this team here.
Yeah, and then the worst thing is that, who are we to judge him if we don't see games how would be played in our basketball philosophy? Like you said, moving the ball.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the Knicks will look better.
Right.
That's also my thing. I would love everybody to touch the ball, move. The ball has energy and stuff like that. Doesn't mean that the Brunson or Julius would be comfortable with that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
And that might be the problem. So I think it's really hard to say it now and judge him now, because we don't know how the team will look if they played the way that the fans want.
Exactly. Like, you don't know you don't know what it looks like the other way. You don't know if it results in wins or not.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's very hard to say. But anyway, do the Knicks get the win tonight?
Oh, Sim, I think this would be the first game that I would say that they're going to get an L. So I'm going to say they're going to win by 1 point.
Okay. All right. Give them the win. I think it's a tough game tonight. I do.
Definitely.
I'm not going to lie. I think it's a tough game tonight. I think it's a tough one. I don't know if we get the win tonight. I hope so. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my post-game show will probably be later on because I have a game tonight. It's about an hour and 15 minutes away. So I'll probably get a chance to watch it after my game as, we watch the boys play. But I'll probably be doing the post-game show late. So, just look for that notification and whatnot. I think that's it for me. I got to wrap it up because I got to get going. Any last words, Andy?
No, I'm waiting for Josh to get us a comfortable schedule for our episode. We want to do the episode about Knicks looking for trades before the trade deadline.
Okay.
We're hoping to squeeze like 2, maybe 3 episodes before the February 9th trade deadline.
Yeah.
There were rumors today about, Knicks being interested in Serge Ibaka, that, talked with the Bucks, that he and the Bucks mutually agreed to try to, make a move and look for a new home for him. We also remember that the Bucks were interested in Cam Reddish.
Right.
But straight up Cam Reddish for Serge Ibaka, that trade doesn't work. So we would have to adjust that. But me and Josh are going to find some time and try to entertain you guys soon.
All right. That sounds good. Looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I'll catch you later on tonight. I'm out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Knick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.